The psychology of survival. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering $10 million sitting in your bank account. No debt, no bills, no financial stress, no boss, no alarm clock, no fear of running out of money. Freedom, at least. That's what most people would call it. But now imagine something stranger. Imagine losing it all 5 years later. Not through theft, not through fraud, not through bad luck, but because some hidden part of your own mind couldn't survive having it. Impossible? It happens more often than you think. Lottery winners lose fortunes, athletes go bankrupt, entrepreneurs sabotage opportunities, investors panic and sell at the worst possible moments. Before we dive in, a brief message. At Money Mycelium, our mission is to explore the hidden psychology of money, wealth, and human decision-making through carefully researched cinematic storytelling. Every video represents countless hours of research, writing, editing, and production by a dedicated team. If you appreciate this work and want to help us create more thought-provoking content, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with others who may benefit from it. Your support makes this channel possible. Now, let's uncover the story. Ordinary people spend years dreaming about a different life, only to retreat the moment that life becomes possible. Why? Why would anyone run from the very freedom they claim to want? The answer begins inside a 3-pound organ carried by every human being on Earth, an organ that evolved for a world that no longer exists, a machine designed to keep you alive, not wealthy, not successful, not fulfilled. Alive, and in a world changing faster than evolution can keep up, that ancient survival system may be quietly shaping every financial decision you make. This is the story of why your brain fears financial freedom more than poverty. And why the greatest obstacle between you and a different life may not be money at all. At 5:47 every morning, David's alarm rings. The same sound, the same room, the same routine. For 20 years, he wakes up tired, drinks the same coffee, drives the same road, works the same job, complains about the same problems, and every evening he says the same thing. There has to be more than this. David is not lazy, he is not unintelligent, and he is not alone. Millions of people share his dream. They imagine financial freedom, they imagine escape, they imagine becoming someone new, yet year after year, nothing changes. Not because opportunities never appear, but because every opportunity asks a difficult question. Who would you have to become to accept it? One afternoon, David receives an offer. A friend wants him to join a small business venture. The risk is manageable. The potential reward is enormous. David spends weeks researching, weeks calculating, weeks imagining what his future could look like. Then, he says no. The opportunity disappears. Years later, the company succeeds. His friend becomes wealthy. David remains exactly where he started. Most people would call this bad luck. Psychology suggests something else. To understand David, we need to travel backward, far backward, long before cities, before money, before careers, before civilization itself. For almost all of human history, survival was the only goal. Find food, avoid predators, stay with the tribe, live long enough to reproduce. That was the game. The humans who survived weren't necessarily the smartest, or the bravest, or the most ambitious. They were often the most cautious. If a strange noise came from the forest, assuming danger was wise. If a new path looked uncertain, avoiding it was wise. If leaving the group increased risk, staying close was wise. Generation after generation, evolution rewarded caution, and slowly, over thousands of years, our ancestors developed nervous systems designed to detect danger before it appeared. The problem is that modern life no longer looks like the world those brains evolved for. Today there are no predators hiding behind every tree. But there are investments, businesses, career changes, opportunities, and all of them contain uncertainty. The survival brain sees uncertainty. And uncertainty still feels suspicious. Psychologists have discovered something remarkable. The brain can learn new definitions of safety, not through giant leaps, but through repeated exposure to manageable uncertainty. A difficult conversation, a new skill, a calculated risk, a small act of courage. Every time you survive uncertainty, your brain updates its map of reality, and slowly, possibility becomes less frightening. Here's one of the strangest truths in human psychology. People often prefer familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. Think about that. People stay in jobs they hate, stay in relationships that drain them, stay trapped inside routines that slowly shrink their lives, not because suffering feels good, because suffering feels predictable, and predictability feels safe. The brain constantly asks one question: what happens next? When it knows the answer, it relaxes, even if the answer is painful. David hated his job, but he understood it. He understood the paycheck, the schedule, the expectations. The risks were known. The business opportunity was different. The future was unclear, and uncertainty activated ancient alarms. The conscious mind said, "I want freedom." The survival system whispered, "Stay where you are." And the survival system often wins. The hidden fear of success. Most people believe they fear failure, but many actually fear success, because success changes identity. Imagine spending 20 years believing you're someone who struggles financially. Then suddenly, you don't. Who are you now? Imagine your family knows one version of you. Your friends know one version of you. Your co-workers know one version of you. Then success demands another. What happens to those relationships? What happens to your story? What happens to the identity you've spent decades constructing? The human mind builds identity slowly, thread by thread, habit by habit, story by story. And once that identity exists, changing it can feel like tearing apart part of yourself. That's why transformation creates anxiety, not because people hate growth. Because growth requires leaving behind someone familiar. A small escape. Ask yourself one question: what belief about myself would need to die for my life to improve? The answer often reveals the invisible wall standing between who you are and who you could become. The tribe never disappeared. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your tribe could be fatal. No protection, no resources, no support. Belonging meant survival. Isolation meant danger. That instinct never disappeared. It simply changed form. Today your tribe might be family, friends, co-workers, your social environment. And financial freedom often creates distance from those groups. You begin thinking differently, living differently, pursuing different goals. The gap grows. The tribe notices. And the ancient brain notices too, because deep down, many people aren't afraid of becoming wealthy. They're afraid of becoming different. And different people attract attention. Attention attracts judgment. Judgment threatens belonging. And somewhere inside the deepest parts of the mind, belonging still feels like survival. Every meaningful transformation eventually disappoints someone's expectations. The goal is not to avoid judgment. The goal is to decide whose judgment deserves your attention. Imagine two cages. The first cage has bars. Everyone can see them. The second cage is invisible. No locks, no chains, only beliefs. Stories, assumptions, identities. The invisible cage is more dangerous because people often spend their entire lives inside it without realizing it exists. Many focus on external barriers, the economy, their background, their circumstances, and while those obstacles can be very real, another barrier often operates in silence. The belief that freedom belongs to someone else, the belief that wealth changes people, the belief that success is dangerous, the belief that staying small is safer. These beliefs rarely announce themselves. Instead, they quietly influence decisions, day after day, year after year, until possibility begins to look impossible. Write down 3 beliefs you hold about money. Then ask, who taught me this? And is it actually true? Many invisible cages begin to disappear the moment they are examined. Imagine 2 futures. In the first future, nothing changes. 5 years pass. Then 10. Your life remains familiar, predictable, comfortable in its limitations. In the second future, everything changes. You grow, you evolve, you take risks, you become someone your current self can barely recognize. Which future feels scarier? Most people immediately choose the second. And that's the revelation. The fear was never poverty. The fear was transformation. Because transformation requires entering the unknown. And the unknown is where the survival brain becomes nervous, not because it is broken, not because it is evil, because it is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. Protect you from uncertainty. The tragedy is that the same system protecting you from danger may also be protecting you from possibility. Ask yourself a different question, not which future feels safer, but which future would I regret never attempting? Regret often reveals what fear is trying to hide, the truth about financial freedom, and now we arrive at the uncomfortable truth hiding beneath everything. For years, many people believe money is the missing piece. Then they believe knowledge is the missing piece. Then discipline. Then opportunity. But beneath all of them lies something older, a survival system forged in a world of predators, a system designed to keep you alive, not free, not wealthy, not fulfilled. Alive, and that system cannot always distinguish between danger and transformation. To the ancient brain, starting a business can feel like danger. Changing careers can feel like danger. Investing can feel like danger. Speaking up can feel like danger. Success can feel like danger. Becoming a new person can feel like danger. Because every transformation demands something. The death of an old identity. And identities rarely disappear quietly. They resist, they fight, they sabotage, not because they hate your future, because they were built to protect your past. David never lost because he lacked opportunity. He lost because he trusted familiarity more than possibility, and in doing so, he protected the life he secretly wished to escape. Conclusion: imagine a bird born inside a cage. Year after year it studies the bars, dreaming of the sky, dreaming of freedom, dreaming of escape. Then one day, the cage door opens. For a moment, nothing happens. The bird hesitates, not because it loves the cage, because it understands the cage. The sky is unfamiliar. The sky offers no guarantees. The sky demands trust. And that is where millions of people find themselves today, standing at the edge of an open door. Believing money is the obstacle. Believing circumstances are the obstacle. Believing opportunity is the obstacle. When the real obstacle may be something far more difficult to see. A survival system trying to protect them from a future it cannot predict. The greatest prison is rarely made of steel. It is made of familiarity. The greatest risk is rarely failure. It is transformation. Because somewhere in the future, there is a version of you already living the life you dream about today. The question is not whether that person exists. The question is whether you are willing to let the current version of yourself disappear. The cage was never locked. You were simply taught to fear the sky.